That's it. We are good to go.
All right. I'd like to welcome everyone to this meeting of the city's Development and Zoning Review Committee. At tonight's meeting, the interested party will introduce and provide a presentation on a revised development proposal that would be located within the city of Wildwood. Tonight's meeting provides this interested party the opportunity to propose a concept and then hear feedback from this committee, which is composed of key city decision makers. It is important to note that this plan is very preliminary and informal stages of the city's review process, such as subject to changes if it proceeds to the formal submission process. The committee welcomes the public's attendance tonight via the Zoom platform or streaming on YouTube, but given the preliminary and informal nature of the presentation, public comment is not being sought at this time. If the proposed development does proceed to the formal submission process, members of the public will have numerous opportunities to address the city's Planning and Zoning Commission and/or City Council regarding it at that time. The committee would like to thank you for your attendance at tonight's meeting. Can I get a roll call of commission members, please?
Councilmember Preston, Councilmember Brost,
Here.
Mayor Garitano,
Here.
and Chair Beatty.
Here.
Thank you.
Thank you. Does the Department of Planning have any opening comments?
Yes, Mr. Chair, and I'll be very brief while Mr. Newberry brings in the applicant for tonight's discussion. As is mentioned in the agenda advertisement, this particular item was originally presented at the end of December 2023. And at that time, there were a couple of other different members of the committee, Mayor Boland and Councilmember Clark, and comments were provided to Mr. Ewell. Many of the comments focused on just concerns about the nature of the building, the type of use, etc. And so tonight, this is the second review of this particular site and proposal. As with the other, department has provided you information of a general nature relating to the site and the town center plan. And then I believe Mr. Ewell has updated his presentation relative to some of the comments he heard from the committee members at that December 2023 meeting. And so with that, if there are any questions of Mr. Newberry or I relative to the information that we provided or the history of the zoning of this particular site, we'd be glad to answer them now. And if not, as always, we appreciate your attendance and helping make this committee function, and we do a great job. So thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vunich. Mr. Ewell, would you like to give us your revised presentation? And you're muted.
Sorry for that. Can you hear me now?
Now I can. Go ahead.
Okay, thanks. Travis, do you load the presentation? Thank you. So we were this was about a property at 17109 Hawthorne Village Parkway, which is located behind the Phillips 66 gas station at Highway 109 and Highway 100. So again, we were looking to develop a single tenant storage facility on that property. It's been vacant for quite a long period of time, over a decade for sure. Originally, maybe there was going to be an office building placed there, but that was a good 15 years ago, and that's the only known history that I have. There are probably some reasons for that. There is not water on that parcel. A well would have to be drilled to have water. There are not gas utilities on that parcel either. There's an MSD sewage pump station located on the property in the back corner, and it's not very visible from either Highway 100 or Highway 109. And it's currently zoned as workplace in the town center, and some of those potential uses, office, warehouse, facilities, parking areas, etc. We're not planning to have customer access to this facility. This would be for private business, and there's a potential to have some public space added as required, and that would be something we'd discuss with the city. Again, the property and the proposed building would be pretty well hidden from view. We're surrounded by trees on all four sides, have no intentions to disturb any of those trees. It's about 20 to 25 feet below the surrounding roadways. It's not really visible from 100 or 109, not really visible from Hawthorne Village because it's behind the gas station, and not visible from any surrounding parcels because of the trees. This is a map, a Google map of the general location. Again, behind the Phillips 66 at 100 and 109. This is on the property, and this is looking north. So behind all of those trees would be Highway 100. This is looking to the west, out towards Gray Summit, I guess. To the south, down towards Manchester Road. And to the east, and the building and the background there is the Phillips 66 gas station up on the hill. This is just as you're pulling into the gas station. This is an approximation of where the building would be located, behind the gas station and below it. This is a picture of the sewage pump facility, which is in the southwest or west corner. It has something to do with the pumping the sewage up the hill. The area that looks like it's fenced in, I think, is sort of an overflow area. If the pump were to fail, the sewage could fill in that area until it was repaired. So we've kind of made some modifications to the building and the intended use. So what we're proposing is still 5,000 square foot storage warehouse, but we made some changes. We added some parking spaces that could be permeable pavers or asphalt. We didn't draw it because we still need to figure out exactly what we need to do, but we could have some public space there. Originally we had the potential for some outdoor storage. We're going to remove that. And there was some concerns about, using a metal building at the time. So we've went back and kind of redesigned sort of the structure of the building to allow for different types of siding, or that could, instead of metal siding, it could be hardy siding. Vinyl siding also is permitted and is used on the gas station. The roofing, my understanding, could still remain as a metal roof, but we could also probably do a asphalt architectural grade shingle. And we're still evaluating the construction method, whether we stick with the steel frame or if we go to a lumber built building. This was the general design of the building. What we've done here is added more cross members that would allow for sheathing and siding of various types. But otherwise the building is pretty much the same. Some examples. This is an example of a building with a metal roof, and that is like vertical hardy siding, kind of a board and batten look. That could be an option that we could use. And this is another option. We're not tied to any colors or anything. We're more than happy to work with the city on things like that as well. So that's all I have tonight.
All right, thank you for that. Does the does the committee have any comments? Councilman Brost?
Yeah, I guess overall, I think one of the items we talked about last time was the outdoor storage. So is there, and I'll just have a few comments, but the outdoor storage being one, and then I think the only view that would have an issue would be to the south. And then just to appreciate your interest in the property, why is the property of interest to you? And I don't want to say possible reasons. I just wanted to ask that question. So thank you.
Sure. So yes, the outdoor storage, you know, as I understand it to be defined, has been removed. You know, if we parked a vehicle or something there, I don't believe that is considered outdoor storage. But we would not have materials, bulk materials, equipment, anything like that outdoors. I can't really speak to the South View. I know that there's a potential for a subdivision at some point, although I do think it's a good distance away, and there's a lot of trees between this parcel and where some of those homes could potentially someday be located. And the property is of interest to me for a few reasons. It's a nice level piece of ground. We do a lot of work in the area, landscaping work in the area. So it's a good location. I think it would put us in an excellent place to do the work that we do.
Okay, well, thank you, and I'm glad you have an interest.
Any other comments from the commission? Councilman Brost again.
Yeah, I guess, I mean, I feel this is a good, good option for Wildwood. I mean, Mr. Vunich, are you seeing an issue with why this wouldn't move forward?
Well, as you mentioned, Councilmember Brost, the things that had originally kind of been red flags to the department, one of which was the outdoor storage, has been eliminated. And then in a conversation with Mr. Yule before tonight's meeting, I explained to him that metal buildings in town center are just very, very difficult. Nothing in the architectural guidelines really accommodates it other than a metal roof. And so from that perspective, he's come back with some alternatives using materials that we accept elsewhere. I actually think from the standpoint of the site with a pump station on it, that it does have an odor to it on occasions, next to a stormwater detention basin and the limited visibility. The commercial applications are few and far between. So this might be a reasonable use if all the things that Mr. Yule has said he'll do get done.
Okay, I agree, and I agree. So I feel that if this moves forward, I believe it would have the support of the city. Is that too bold of a statement?
Well, I can only speak for the department, but if all the boxes are checked that we've talked about over the course of 2 meetings and the information that Mr. Yule's provided, I think we could certainly find a middle ground. There may be some things that we'll impose that come out of the commission, or in the case of city council, that we aren't expecting here. But those are always things that I believe always improve a project.
Okay, well, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mayor Garritano?
Yeah, I'll echo the comments that Councilmember Brost just stated, and what Director Vunich just mentioned. I mean, what we see with the site here, I do really appreciate these renderings here, these drawings of the siding, with the hardy siding with the metal roofing. So that's definitely something that I think would be, as Director Vunich mentioned, probably more acceptable than just a metal building. So yeah, at this point, I'm not aware of any issues, but I think given the uniqueness of this parcel, this may be one of the best uses for it.
Thanks. And Mr. Vunich, is the petitioner correct in that it's been like 15 plus years since we've had any interest in this parcel?
It actually may be a little longer. The original zoning was 1998, so that's now 26 years ago. And then the owner of the property at that time, Charlie St. Ange, came back and wanted to change out a sit-down restaurant to a two-story office building, which seemed like a viable use, given that offices don't need that kind of visibility, a restaurant or some other type of retail.
Mhm.
But that really kind of fell just flat on its face too. And part of it again is just what's there on the site. And it's not the best of access either, quite frankly. So,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's probably been at least 15 years, if not longer.
Yeah, because nothing's come before the commission since I've been on there, and that's 8-ish years now.
Yeah.
So yeah, and then he mentioned that no, it's on the well. Is the gas station on well water as well, or?
No, and that's something Mr. Yule needs to be aware of. There is public water that serves the Phillips 66 convenience store and gas station, obviously because they have a car wash. So the city will require him to connect to public water.
Okay.
Okay, I have a question about that because I did see that there was a well there. But that could be for some other purpose.
Yeah.
If there's public water, that would be ideal.
Yeah. And part of the reason is just having a groundwater well in that area by a pump station in the event there was a problem. You don't
Mhm.
want to have that going down the aquifer. I mean, it's just, and our code basically stipulates if it's within 200 feet or reasonably accessible, we're generally required to make that connection. So it's not being punitive, Mr. Yule, it's just what the code says.
Okay. Yeah, I'll spend some time to look into that further. I was under the impression it was that the gas station was on a well.
Mhm. Yeah, with a car wash, it's darn near impossible to make the groundwater situation work for them, given just the amount of um, water they need.
Mhm.
Well, with that, if there's no other comments, I think the building looks nice, and yeah, given that it's just sitting vacant, might as well put it to some use, in my opinion. So if there's no further comments, can I get a motion to adjourn?
I have one question.
Sure.
Could we just outline the next step in the process one more time?
Mr. Vunich, you want to fill him in?
Sure, Mr. Chair. With the conclusion of the Development and Zoning Review Committee process, now we'll move on to the Planning and Zoning Commission and then ultimately City Council. Travis and I will send you some information, the application, that kind of information to move forward to the commission. And the biggest step for you now is to take your kind of renderings and site plan and get an architect engineer involved so that we can make sure that all of the things that we require in terms of grading, stormwater, et cetera, are met. So we'll get you that information pretty quick after tonight's meeting.
And then it would be after those two meetings that the approval would be official.
Well, there's 3 meetings as a minimum at the commission and at least 3 meetings at city council. So if I were to give you an estimate, we've got about a 4 to 5 month journey ahead of us. And part of that is because both the commission and city council meet once a month. So We just got to make sure we're sequencing as best we can to keep things moving for you.
Okay, and I'll follow up with you, I guess, after to
Sounds
make
good.
sure I know what to do.
So, with that, follow-up question. This is zone C8, I guess, correct, right?
Yes.
So is there a zoning change or do we just need to amend the code?
That's a good question, and I should have probably prepared for it, but with the change to the outdoor storage and some of the other components, it may be just an ordinance amendment, which is a simpler process, at least in terms of the commission. It's one meeting versus three. But I have to look at the original advertisement. It depends on how it was advertised when it was originally posted for public hearing. And if it was very specific to a C-store with gas pumps and a car wash and a restaurant, then it's a public hearing. Because the principle being is we advertised it for something, now we're changing it, we have to re-advertise it.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions before we adjourn? All right, then can I get a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mayor Garetano, second by Councilman Brost. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstain? All right,
Thank
thank you. And good luck, Mr. Ewell.
All right, thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you all.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank